Welcome everybody to Lymphatic Technology Institute, where we are bringing the world into a higher vibration. I am so super stoked to have Kelly Kennedy with me today. We are doing the Flow Show.
The Flow Show.
The Flow Show. It's all about lymph. It's about the flow. It's about well-being. We're going to be giving you guys lots of tips throughout this that you can take and use for yourself at home. Very important. Kelly, introduce yourself for us. Tell us what all you do.
So thank you, first of all, Michele. I've been having so much fun, of course, working with you and knowing you for the last 10 years. It's just been amazing to be able to get people's health really in control of themselves. And that's what we do at True Wellness and at notmeds.com, our clinic and my virtual presence in the podcast world. And what we do is we really help people figure out how their body really works. That's what we do at Not Meds. It's not a mystery. It's not left up to the doctor. It's for them to, it's for all of us to figure out how this body that we've been given, that's perfect in its building of, it's just, its innate intelligence is perfect. And so we just need to work with it so that it works for us.
Yes.
And we need to not work against it.
Exactly. I tell everybody, your body will heal itself with the right support. We just
That's right.
Right supports.
And we just assist their bodies by helping drain out their trash, their oil, however you want to look at it. Yep.
Exactly.
So I'm a not doctor, medical intuitive, biological investigator who is really passionate about the lymph and the fascia, hence flow, fascia, lymph, overall wellness.
Exactly. Yes. Flow. I love it. We are going to be talking about the top 10 things that clog up your lymph. I don't know about you, but this is one of the biggest questions that I get when people come into my office. They're like, why does it get so cloggy? Why is all this stuff happening? I'm like, hello, what kind of world are we living in right now? So, and the first one we're going to talk about is water. So you told me earlier that you're a water snob.
I have been a water snob since I was a kid. I grew up on well water, and I didn't know what chlorinated water really was. And then when I got exposed to it, I was like, no, I want to go back and drink our well water. And everybody's known me since, I'm 46, and water wasn't a thing in the 80s. I was a thing about water. My first email address was watersnob at like comcast.net or something, because I've always been about pure live water. And I love water. It's the only thing I really drink outside of tea.
And I don't know if you've ever read the book, Messages in Water. I actually have it on my table over here.
Oh, you're cute. So Master Emoto, I work directly with Rasmus Scout Bergenhausen, who is his understudy, because he's the gentleman that created Sound of Soul. So
I did not know that.
I am very familiar with Messages in Water. I've been learning that in Master Emoto's work for 20 years, and I'm very connected with Rasmus in regards to that, because we are 80% water. And well, if we drink good water and we're hydrated, we're 80% water. And I think that we forget that sometimes. And people think it's not that important to drink water. It's the most important vital nutrient you can have outside of air.
Well, and we can just take one little example, the digestive system. What happens if we're not hydrated? We have these little finger-like, I won't go into the technical terms, but if they're dehydrated, they're shriveled up. And so when the liver processes the toxins and takes it through and says, okay, lymphatic system, here you go, take out the trash, and these little finger-like projections can't pull that trash in because they're dehydrated, then you have all those toxins that go right back around to the liver, and the liver's like, hello, why are you here? Then that gets clogged, then gallbladder that gets clogged, then digestive disorders, and then all of these things occur because of simple dehydration.
You're just it's true. And what you're making me aware of, because we work a lot with the liver detox and with heavy metal detox and stuff. And I've always said that people have such a deficiency of glutathione. And what you're making me aware of, as you just said that, it's because they're recirculating their toxins, that they're just using they're using glutathione on the same toxic load over and over again, and thinking that they're going to get somewhere. No wonder they don't get anywhere. And so, most of our clients, I'm sure you're the same, when we start working their lymph, we tell them, you got to drink more water because it's going to pump through your kidneys. You're going to pee more. And you can tell in the skin when they're dehydrated or not. I know you can feel it. I can feel it.
Wrinkles. And then it's like, wait, where did these come from? Oh,
lack of hydration. So we'll talk on another one about what we can do to fix our lymph, right? But let's talk about the things that clog our lymph, because I know for our client base and yours, they come in and they go, well, I don't have lymphedema. I don't have cancer. So how do you know I have a lymph problem? I mean, pits versus puffs. We could talk about that at some point, but
yes,
I'm not wearing the appropriate shirt for that video today, but you know, having lymphedema you don't have to get to the point of lymphedema to have clogged lymph.
Right.
The signs of clogged lymph are digestive issues, lack of sleep, exhaustion, skin issues,
mood disorders, PMS. I mean, let's go in. I mean, we can just name off 1,000. So
right. So dehydration is number one. What's number two?
Number two is Wi-Fi.
Oh, my favorite.
Yes. I just got lectured by a guy, a client of mine, and he owns this very large company. And he said, yeah, this is what we do. We put in 5G all over. He goes, let me tell you what's coming through this. And he like went into specifics, mind blown. And I'm going, oh my gosh, we are bombarded with so much stuff. And people don't even realize why they're feeling bad.
You know, we're electrical beings. We're bioelectrical beings. You know, we're all ones and zeros inside here, essentially, right? And that's the electricity that runs through our body outside of our cells, the electrons. We're bioelectrical computers. And if people think for a second that the Wi-Fi traveling through can get this computer to give you this screen and it's not somehow affecting my body, let's just consider that for a second. I mean, come on. You know, why? If you question it, turn your Wi-Fi off for 3 weeks in a single family home away from everybody else's Wi-Fi for 3 weeks, turn it completely off and then turn it back on, and don't turn it off for 3 weeks. And you tell me how it feels after 6. You know, it's Wi-Fi. There's not really a lot of hard evidence. There's not a lot of hard science to say that Wi-Fi really, you know, suppresses your immune system. But I know Dr. Klinghardt has found that the lymphatics don't drain at night if the Wi-Fi is on.
Yes, you are exactly right. And no wonder people don't sleep. And you have to sleep. You have to get into that deep rest, that REM, and that's when they start draining.
Right.
You're not sleeping.
So personally, I'm a scientist, right? And I don't want to be part of anybody's lab experiment. So if you want to think that the 5G is doing you fine and the Wi-Fi is fine, you just go right ahead. In the meantime, I'm going to wear my shoesy. I'm going to get my medical electronics from Germany and make sure that all my 5G is off put of my head and my brain is getting all the good waves that I want, not the Wi-Fi waves that are going to support my body. So,
well, I have a client and he just showed me where he's been wearing his Apple Watch. Dip. It's a huge dip in here.
Oh, in the lymphatics?
In his skin. And then all these red dots started coming up. And I said, is that the arm that you wear the Apple Watch on? He says, yeah. I said, how long do you wear it? He goes, I even sleep in it. I said, take that thing off. I said, it's not doing you any favors. Take it off and see what happens. He goes, yeah, I think it's the watch that did that. I have people that come in, wrist, elbow, shoulder issues. And I'll tell them to take the Apple Watch off. And they're like, it cleared up within like 2 weeks. Yeah. Those things disrupt us.
It's definitely less convenient, right? And we've all had a lot of inconvenience over the last 8 to 10 weeks, but it really kind of speaks to the volumes of, well, if your health is the most important thing, is it really that inconvenient?
Yeah.
Because I think we've all had a lesson in health is the most important thing. And if you don't have health, you don't have anything.
Right.
And so if we can take some control over our life and the way we live our life to protect our immune system, so we're not spending it on stupid stuff like Wi-Fi and Apple Watches to make sure, why would I sleep with my Apple Watch at night? Am I really going to get a text that that's important, that I have to wake up for 3 o'clock in the morning? My sleep isn't that important. Yeah. I mean, let's just take a moment and think about that. All right. Number 3.
Dairy.
Cow dairy.
That one.
Cow dairy. I roll my eyes. My whole, I come from the family of cow dairy farmers, and this is sacrilegious for me to say. And I went to Cornell University, and I was an animal science major, and I worked in agricultural. So it's really a little sacrilegious from my background to say, but the reality is that none of us are cows and that the cow protein is not able to be broken down by the human genome. End of story. And we don't have the enzymes to break down the protein that's in cow's milk. the fat of cow is super good for us. We need that good, healthy fat. We need the butter. We need the cream. Woohoo. Cow's milk. Cow's milk, however, that excess protein, that's often what clogs up the lymph is excess proteins, the fibrinogen. And lymph should be like water and fluid. And the thicker it is, because of these excess proteins, it moves like sludge.
Yes.
Again, I have a 3-week challenge. After you do your Y5, 3 and 3, then do cow dairy. No cow dairy, no milk, no dry milk. Look at every package. Make sure there's no milk at all, no cow dairy, except for butter and heavy cream for 3 weeks. On day 22, I want you to wake up and I want you to eat yogurt and eat ice cream and have a cheese sandwich and have pizza and have all the cow dairy you can eat. And then call me on day 23 and let me know if you're ever going to eat cow dairy again. See, listen, I learned from experience, right? I don't believe much of what anybody says. I have to experience, even though I understand the science. And I did this challenge. And when I met this world, I literally couldn't live off of cow dairy. I was like, what do you mean? I mean, I eat cheese and ice cream and drink milk as whole milk, by the way. I was drinking whole milk. And I literally couldn't drink milk now if you paid me, because it just grosses me out. Plus, it's pus and mucus from a cow's tit. And I would never get underneath a cow and suck on its udder and drink some pus and mucus from it. That would be crazy. But that's what you're doing when you drink cow dairy. Not to mention it thickens your lymph. And I don't want to be the size of a cow. A cow's 1,200 pounds. I'd like to stay under 150. Thank you very much. I'm a human.
That's awesome.
Goat and sheep doesn't seem to be as problematic unless you have a casein sensitivity.
True, because we do goat milk. And I think it's great.
Goat and sheep are similar to our size, right? Like, think about that. Their protein is similar to our protein because we're the similar size. So if you don't, the science, go to notmilk.com or read any of Weston A. Price's stuff and you'll understand why not to drink cow dairy.
Yes. Okay, next one, sedentary lifestyle. Well, what is that doing? I mean, come on. Lymphatics is movement and proper breathing.
If you don't move, your lymph doesn't move, right?
Exactly.
And it doesn't have its own pumping system. So we have to move. And when we move our skeletal muscles, when we do things like this, it moves our lymph. And if we're sitting in a chair all day and doing this, or sit in a car for 8 hours, your lymph is going to be stagnant. Did you ever notice? I mean, we just drove 8 hours. And by the time we got here, I was like, and then after I get moving, I can move. But that's my lymph stagnant from sitting in a car for 8 hours without really moving. And many people have been a little bit more stagnant over the last 8 weeks. And just getting out for a walk 10, 20 minutes a day is huge.
It's huge. Men's issues with prostate. What's that come from? It's sitting. They're pulling all this lymph in here. It's not able to move. It's not able to have circulation. So then we have men who end up with prostate issues. I'm like, guys, we have to move. Let's move.
Yep.
Chair.
Just move and rebounding. That's what rebounding is about, is moving that lymph, because that stimulation of, and when they do Flow-Prezo, our most favorite piece of equipment ever on the planet, the Flow-Prezo, it moves the lymph, it moves the muscles rather, which they're, as a side effect, of course, it moves the lymph because it moves the muscles.
Yes. And then if you don't have a rebounder, you can always just bounce.
Yeah.
Bounce on your tippy toes. That's it.
Yeah.
So you're standing up, you can do it. Just bounce on your tippy toes.
Yeah.
And then I have some people that we get the really big
exercise balls
at the gym. You sit on it and you just bounce, and that opens the hips, that gets things moving.
And at our center, we went so far as to get standing desks for our front desk and for the people that sit traditionally all day. And I would recommend that for anybody in an office setting, to get a standing desk that gives you the option to sit and stand, just because that alone is not only going to help your spine in many other ways, but it's just going to help you to be more cognizant of, you can stand and do this, and now my lymph isn't stagnant.
Well,
while I'm doing a conference call.
I talk about the dance.
Right.
When we work lymph nodes.
The flow, flow of flow.
The flow. Okay, awesome. Next one, tight clothes. Bras, that's a huge issue. Tight clothes in general, because we're like,
absolutely,
we're just squeezing everything in.
And that creates like a dam, like you said in one of our previous, or was it this one? No, it was the previous one about dry brushing. You know, it creates a dam when they're wearing tight fitting bras. and you have so much drainage of your lymph, and this is such a significant area for your lymphatics. If you're wearing a tight bra, that lymph isn't going to go anywhere.
Correct.
Or you're wearing tight clothes, tight pants that are so tight that when you're done, it creates a indentation in your skin.
Tight socks. Even though compression socks are good, when you fly and things like that, but not tight socks where it leaves a ring.
Correct. And bras, a lot of women, especially I find older women in all honesty, they wear bras that are so tight that it's left an indentation, right? And because their bras are so tight. I mean,
well, what's happening? Their lymph is piling up, which is causing everything to get heavy. And they come in and say, I can't go without my wire bra because everything's too heavy and it sags down. I'm like, okay, go without that wire bra. Take that thing out. You can always pull the wire out.
Absolutely.
And then they complain about back fat at the same time. And so I'm like, let's ditch that. Let's get your lymph moving. And I've had women.
That back fat will go away. That back fat is lymph often.
I have no back fat. I work.
That's right.
I have no back fat. And I don't wear a bra. Okay, take that back. I did find one that's super, super it's like just the most amazing piece of clothing. It's Calvin Klein. I don't know, found it amazing. It's great. That's the only thing I have, but I don't wear them. So yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Awesome.
Next one. Yeah, you'll lose a bra size.
That never bothered me. It does bother some women, but you're healthier. So.
Hey, let's take care of the girls.
That's right. These girls are important.
Food. What we put in our body is just as important as what we put on our body. And people are eating all this processed food that has zero frequency in it. And we were just talking about the water frequency. I mean, it has no frequency. It has nothing. It
has to be live.
They radiate it. So they're getting no nutritional value.
I mean, that's a whole nother subject. But bottom line is eat proper food. If you don't eat the proper food for your lifestyle, for your blood type, for not eating too much food as well, and making sure it's the proper food and organic food, it's not full of pesticides and so forth. Eat the proper food or it will clog your lymph, because the improper food creates excess proteins, creates excess acids, and the spaces between the cells, which is where your lymphatic lives, is where that crap ends up. And then the lymphatics have to start moving it out. And, I like taking out the trash, one trash bag, but when there's 5 trash bags, I'm like, oh, I didn't want to take it out. Right. And that's how your lymph system feels.
Oh, please.
Right.
Okay. Real quick, we've got emotions. We can do about 5,000 shows on emotions.
Stress causes lymphatic to get thick, and it causes acid to build in the body. And emotional stress, in our industry, we've talked about what's worse, the COVID or the emotional stress of locking everybody down and isolating them from everybody else. Yeah. I would dare to say that it's the secondary.
Exactly.
Originally when it's the emotional stress, this is called, the financial stress, the ongoing, how long is it going to last, the lack of control, on and on and on. And then they're told, don't go outside your house. And all of us lymphologists are going, no, this is the opposite of what you should be telling people. Go outside, feel the fresh air, move, hug the people that you love, that you are connected with, and get that microbiome expanded, not minimized. And, this stress of not touching somebody and not loving somebody is, they've done so many experiments with rats. When they separate and isolate rats,
yes,
they die fast.
Yes, they do. Yes. And there's one thing that I know from Desiree, from Emotions, talking with her, we talk about stuck life, stuck lymph.
Totally.
When you feel like you have a stuck life, you have stuck lymph.
And if you want to break through and you want to shift, after you move your lymph, you move your fascia. And then you'll get a shift, because a lot of the emotions live in the fascia, and we can talk about that. We have so much to share with you guys. We are y'all, guys, Philadelphia, y'all, Texas. We have so much to share with y'all, and we're so happy to have this platform to share it with you. And please share this with your friends, because this is information that it's not rampant information. It needs to be viral information that people understand how their body really works. Sorry, go ahead.
Exactly. Chemicals. So
You talk about that, please, Miss Esthetician.
well, let's just
your
ask
history.
one little thing, because how many people wear perfume?
Oh,
Okay, I use essential oils. I'm all about essential oils because perfume always gives me a headache. How many people say, oh gosh, I'm very sensitive to smells? Well, that's a lymphatic issue because you have so much buildup that you can't handle smells. And then the average perfume has over 1,500 chemicals in it. Now they have organic perfumes. They only have around 300 chemicals in them. Very, very, very toxic. So all this stuff that we're putting on our body that's chemically laden is not doing us any favor. It's not serving us.
Well, and that goes from the chemicals in our food.
Mm-hmm.
It's not just the chemicals in our skin products, but
exactly.
we're not just talking about like the makeup. We're talking about your body care, your shampoo, your soaps, your all of it is absorbed into the skin. And then the chemicals in our food that thicken the lymph. So people use pesticides and glyphosates and all the Roundup if they're not eating organic, and that's contributing to their lack of detoxification and the amount that, again, the lymph has to move. And I know we've gone longer than 10 minutes on this one, but y'all, this is the point. We live in a soup of craziness.
Yes.
We live in a toxic waste dump of soup. Maybe we split this up and do here's half and half or something, but you know, just start to think about how can I start to make some changes in my lifestyle so that all these things aren't working against me and are working for me, and I'm working for my body. So we have, how many more do we have?
We just have we do chemicals, metals and immune challenges, viruses, germs. So, you know, if our lymph system is working and is functioning properly, then we can handle that stuff. But it's now, you know, if we don't pay attention to the lymph, if we don't listen to the whisper of the body, then it starts screaming at us.
And the viruses, the bacteria, the fungus, the molds, all the retroviruses, the Lyme disease, the Epstein-Barr virus, that's the stuff that clogs up the lymph. And then when you get exposed to COVID or you're exposed to the common flu or cold, your body doesn't have the capacity to deal with it because it's already thickened in there with all this other retrovirus, retrobacteria, antibiotic debris that's left in the body that thickens, again, that lymph, and metals in the mouth, in the body.
Yes, the metals.
In your food, the metals in your products, in your makeup. Not biological, not meant to be in the body. Chemicals not meant to be in the body.
Right.
And the last one.
That was it.
Scars.
Oh, the scars. I forgot about the scars.
I remember the scars because it was the most significant thing in my life. I have a 12-inch scar on my head. I don't know if you know that, Michelle. I have a 12-inch scar and a horseshoe on my head. And fascia was a big deal for me when I got into this world. I didn't understand it. And fascia's made the biggest difference in my life to make my lymph function so much better. I was 2.5 inches shorter after a car accident, and I compressed a couple of vertebrae and lacerated my head. And I was always stiff, and I was always like, I had screwed up shoulders, and I popped and I cracked, and I couldn't sit in lotus style, and I couldn't do yoga, and I couldn't do all this stuff. And the lymph helped me tremendously throughout the years. But when we really started working my scar, it was like, my lymph didn't struggle as much anymore because the scar was handled. Because I think of the body as like your fascia is your internal skin. Like if you were to lift up our skin, de-skin us, we'd still be a suit of fascia with organs inside it. It's a pretty cool visual, one of my favorites. And if you take that and look at it like pantyhose, any scar in your body is a snag in the pantyhose. So you've just shrunk the pantyhose a little bit.
Oh, that's a good visual. Yes.
And so if you can pull out the run, then the pantyhose fit again.
Yes.
But the more scars you have, the more blockades in your lymph or dams there are in your lymph to flow.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So not many people get out without a few scars in their life, and the midline scars are more significant than others. But if we don't manage our scars, then our fascia won't flow. I mean, our lymph won't flow, because it's fascia, lymph, overall wellness to get flow to happen. And we got to manage both of those things.
Exactly. And that's what happens with a lot of tummy tucks. You're just basically cutting off communication within the body. Like it's just, and
facelifts.
Yes. We can go into a whole nother show.
Yes.
About that.
Yeah.
So.
Well, thank you so much, Michelle. That was great.
Yes. Awesome. Thanks for being on here. Amazing. And
follow us, subscribe, and hit the notification so you know when we're here next to give you the next tips for your flow from the Flow Show with Kelly and Michele.
right on. I love it.